So first thing I want to mention, okay, so that I know that the fallen star is has perked up some ears out there, and that's great and wonderful. I wanted to give you guys all a little bit of history about the fallen star. Prior to it being a fallen star, hundreds of thousands of years ago, prior to the Spider Squid Wars, in the beginning of the Old Kingdom, uh, dark elves, when they were building our cities, decided that we needed sun. We needed the sun to be able to rise and fall above over the cities. So, if you can imagine that at that time there were a variety of underground cities the size of New York, okay? Easily the size of the entire state of New York, okay? So, artificial suns were created called dark suns that rose and fell magically. And so there was noon, dawn, dusk, and they emitted UV energy, UV light, to grow plants, trees. You know, that is why the Old Kingdom was very prolific with trees and animals because it had artificial suns. There was one over each of the big cities, and during the Spider Squid Wars, most of those were destroyed. Well, the cities were destroyed. Okay, and sometimes that meant detonating the sun. And if you detonate a sun, it completely annihilates everything around it. So these big New York sized cities were obliterated by detonating the sun. Okay? Most of them subsequently were destroyed. At least one was not. And after hundreds of thousands of years, its power wore out, and it crashed through the deep roads. And you know, path of destruction all the way until it finally rolled to a stop. And that is the fallen star. That people are hearing tale of, and sometimes some of you have seen it because the last GA battle, it was the prime target, and then the GA battle before that, it was there. That is when it had. That happened soon after it had come to a halt. Okay. That is why there's a huge hole in the lake. There's an underground lake in the deep roads, and that is why there's a huge hole in that lake and a subsequent waterfall, is because the fallen star crashed through that lake. Okay, so those of you that have been up in the deep roads and have seen that, this is what you're looking at. Okay. I know that there have been several role plays about the fallen star, and there's a great deal of information out there, including the prophetic vision that Beowulf had before he was captured. um, I can't look through my friendship list right now to see if she's on, but there is the. Oh, it doesn't look like. I was going to look and see if Lark was on, but it's difficult for me to scroll through my stuff. Unfortunately, my new hard drive did not arrive in time, so we're going to limp along and take care of business this way. Yes, the Illithid and the Metallici won the last battle, and their goal and your goal was to secure the fallen star. They won that battle, which put the fallen star in their hands. Beowulf has released his prophetic vision about what would happen if they get the falling star. It is a vision of the future. It is not what has happened yet. There are two other possible scries that can be done. One by Nifredel and Ariella, because they have the Illithid head. Ah, okay. And there was one more other scribe, but I can't remember. But it's because of another major artifact. And yes, Deanan and Dylan Ray recently had an encounter with the fallen star, and apparently that has been relayed. Important information. So, for now, that's where it stands. I just wanted to give you a little bit of history as to what the fallen star is. It was a dark sun, and then its magic wore out and it fell. That does not mean that it has no magic left. That means that it pretty much used its energy sources up. Okay. I'll go ahead and answer questions real fast here, because I know there are questions about the dark sun, fallen star, and stuff that's going on. So go ahead and throw those out there, and then we'll move forward. I've gotten a lot of questions. So the scrying bowl, if you're referring to what I'm talking about, that is connected to the Illithid head, and it is the second way of scrying. Yes. Jaluk Starbinder, you can consider it to be like a giant Metallici core. Anyone who's actually seen it, like Deanan, for example, can verify That's exactly what it looks like. Can it be cut? To our no one has been able to do that yet. So it's highly unlikely, but it's going to require experimentation to actually find the answer to that. But what we know so far, the answer would be no. Some answers are going to be similar. You know, they're going to be okay. You haven't been able to experiment on it, so I can't answer that. Excuse me. There we go. If it can be cut, it's going to require something like an eldritch blade. But since that has not been able to be tried, we don't know that. But but nothing short of an eldritch blade has been able to pierce it at all. Eldritch blade, for those of you that don't know, is the spell sword and eldritch knight uh, specialty. That is what separates them from all the other classes. Yes, it is. It is living steel. It is made out of living steel. I will confirm that with you. Well, uh, avoiding detect life is not an easy task. Yes, obviously, undeath will do it, but undeath is not a it's not a easily reversible state of being. There is there is a high level necromancer spell, okay, called Shroud of Death that makes one uh, appear as undead, including shows up on Detect Undead and removes oneself from Detect Life. But it is a high level necromancy spell, and very few can actually cast it. You have to be a necromancer to cast that spell. It is not one that is available to uh, general practitioners. There are there are a few magical items that prevent detection, whether or not they extend to detect life. They they do exist, okay, but they're out there. Um, Mage Hunter being able to shroud oneself from detect life. There are there are some spells, I mean, that do that, but like I said, they are necromancy spells. A mage hunter that has the ability. There are some lesser spells that a mage hunter might be able to access. Some lesser versions of Shroud of Death, and it's possible if someone has found that spell and they could possibly do it. Cloak of the Ethereal, yes. Well, your cloak, yes, your cloak can do it. All the Raven cloak has that ability. Um, There are a few magical items. Now, someone just asked me who was powerful enough to actually do that. Well, you're looking at you know over 500,000 years ago, uh, not long after the elves crossed over from Yggdrasil, when magic was at its height, and a large group of dark elves got together and built it back when the some of you may be familiar with the elven version of dwarves, and they are responsible for the originals, the ones that were actually on the other side, were responsible for making the Mjolnir and Baldur's sword, the Shield of Tyr, several items along those lines. These are the beings that built Dark Suns. It is visual. It is visual only. It is visual only. So um, you have to be in front of them. Okay. So if you're behind them, they can't detect you. You are correct. But they have detect life in a visual range. So if your eyes can see it, they can do it. Yes, if you are hidden by something else, then you are not seen. Okay? They don't have X-ray vision. But they their vision is fairly extensive. You know how elves have infravision, so think about the movie Predator. You see how that plays out. If you've watched Predator and you see him click over into infravision and he can see all these patterns, that's pretty much what elf eyes can do, right? And ultravision is similar. The detect life vision that Metallicae have is also quite similar. Yes, they could see through that. They can see through any form of magical camouflage. You know, because you're still alive. You know, yes, there is a difference between the detect life vision of a Metallica and a detection spell. There is a difference. Now, if you shift it into the ethereal, and that makes you effectively not alive because you are plane shifted. Then, if you remember the other planes, if you're partially there, then you might be able to pull that one off. Yes, and that's right. This is all OOC information that you're gathering right now. But I'm okay with talking about it. But this is OOC. In order to gain that knowledge, ideally, you it requires an encounter. Okay. Now, right now, with Star and Balewaller being captured, they might have information along these lines that they can gain. Or if you talk to XJ9, He doesn't seem to have any problems ratting out his fellows. Well put, Master Apprentice of all. There are non magical ways to pull that one off. Moss is a decent idea, okay, because that's alive, okay, and they may, and as long as you're standing still, a metallic eye might mistake you for a pile of moss. A shambling mound, which is living moss, they're still going to kill because it moves. Invisibility, they can see right through invisibility. There is no, you're still, they can detect because your life force is not hidden whatsoever. Invisibility stops infravision and ultravision because it alters the the light waves, but the vision of a metallic eye is not light wave based. Yes, it's closest to arcane sight. That's correct. So, like, for infravision, cooling your body temperature down is a good way to keep yourself invisible from infravision. That is not going to change for metallic eye. A metallic eye, if you're a water elemental that walks up to them, they're going to be able to see that just as easy as a fire elemental. It is it possible? But that the answer to Jalil Thorne's question is that would require experimentation to get the answer. I'm not going to answer that one for you. That's an experimentation question. Yes, all of this is very important for those of you that are playing Metallic Eye on an NPC alt. This is very important information to know. Feign Death, the spell Feign Death, because it's a necromancy spell, it is a that works because it disguises your life force temporarily, but you also can't move. That means you have to lay there and you know play the dying chicken, but your life force is temporarily hidden. That's right. That is um, all of the spells that shroud life are all necromancy spells. The lowest level one is Feign Death, which Zach just mentioned with a different name. I encourage everybody to sit everywhere across the board. Don't just sit on the one side just because that's where you're from. You know, mix and mingle, people. Looks like Jill Rose crushed. Those are all good questions. Keep them coming. How many of you in this room have actually been close enough to see the fallen star? I know Deanon's in the room, so I know he has. Yes, I don't want to. I don't want you to segregate yourselves. Stay in your seat. Don't just help over there. All right. Don't do that. All right. Okay. Yes, the Raven Cloak does do that, and our our chief artificer also has a cloak that does that too. Of course, his cloak eats people too, though. You know, possible. I mean, it's even though it's dead, its presence it still has power. Yes, he does have a cloak that eats people. Zaskia, and that's right. If you are a living being, the star will slowly, even though it is dead, it will slowly roast you alive. Take a long time, okay? It's not going, not going to happen quick. It'll probably take about, you know, 10 years maybe, but it will slowly roast you. It is possible you could have been, you're close enough. You might have felt that energy. But do remember also that it is also anti magic. The Illithid they hop around in the ethereal plane. So it's a good question if they would be calamari after a while. Who knows? Maybe. We don't know. Yes, you have to be very, very close to it. the It's designed to rise and fall over a city, so you would have to be like, you know 5 meters away from it for it to start roasting you alive. Ah, that's an experimentation question, Magister Prentice of all. I am not going to answer that one. Now, if it were re if it were repaired and rebuilt, yes, it would definitely cook your dinner in and you and everything around you. It's a star. Yes, those. That's why I was asking. Anybody who was in the battle could have possibly have seen it. People that were down by it definitely would might have seen it. Yes, there's a lake pouring on down on top of it, but you still possibly, if you were in the battle, you could have seen it. And yes, there are people who would eat roasted illithid. You know, they giant calamari, but I don't know. And yes, Zaskia does have a cloak that eats people. Back, uh, Yes, Belle has definitely seen it. Bring your marshmallows and hang around among the stars. Hey, you know what? If you can do it without being roasted yourself, more power to you. It's a thing. And yes, Jalil Sharpclaws just said that she already knows that elephant don't taste very good. But you know what? You know, to each his own. Some people like different things than others. Not something I would probably eat. And the answer to your question, Master Princess of All, is correct. Yes, it does. As long as they're enchanted, they hold an enchantment quite well. Yes. Now she has not tried cooked. she's only she's bitten them, so she knows how that they are not tasty raw. Because when you're fighting them, yeah, and you use tooth and nail, you're gonna find out what things taste like. Ah, there are a couple of blackberry spoons out there. Those do exist. There's like two of them in GA. Okay. Any other questions that you want to throw out about the yes, blackberry spoons? They are magic spoons that turn everything that into blackberry pie. Everything that they dig into becomes blackberry pie. Stone walls, cement, humans. Yep. Yep. Not pecan pie. It's definitely blackberry pie. Only one way to find out. It's a little moon snow. Right now, off the top of my head, I can't remember who the two people who have those spoons are, but they are out there. Jill Thorne has. I know she has it documented. Yes, BK can be seen by Metallica just like everybody else. It is possible. I think that that is worth experimentation to discover. Answer to Master Princess Evolve's question. Not sure that Metallica have any preference for or against water. There were four of them that are completely submerged in the Deep Roads Lake the whole time. They just stayed there. And do remember that even though they appear similar, I mean, even though there are golems, they have a soul. So that means that there is some degree of individuality among them. So what, if one of them doesn't like walking across the lake, that doesn't mean all of them do. Okay, there are obvious a great deal of similarities between them, but there is going to be some individualism there. Um, the the few good guy Metallica that we have in the GA are excellent examples of that because they have broken away from the collective and their individualism has come forth. No one has done that, so we don't know. That is an experimentation thing. Uh, Archmage DeVere. Ah, okay. That had been spoken of, but I had not gotten the word back 100%. It did break your mind control, absolutely, by slamming into the star. Totally did that. Did it have any other effect? Not really, except it hurt. Metallic walk across the bottom of any water. They don't need to swim, so they move a little bit faster. I mean, slower than a swimmer, a lot slower than a swimmer, because they don't breathe. It is highly likely that if you are close to the star for a long time, that it will have a long term effect. A lot slower than a mer. They walk across the bottom of the water. That is entirely up to him and his role play. But it would definitely hurt. You smack your head, trust me, that it doesn't feel good. Yeah, and yes, that was a very, very good move. Football tackling Deanon and smacking him into the star. That was a savior move there. Fortunately, he didn't, and no one had to fight him under those forms. I mean, the person that would have had to fight him would have been Dylan Ray, and that's what you got to do. Football tackle, you know. You got to do what you got to do, right? But yes, Metallica cannot. They cannot see undead with their detect life. That does not mean, though, however, that a normal light spectrum would not reveal that individual to them. So they so if an undead standing right in front of them, they'll see him if there's light to do that, because they still can see in the normal visual spectrum as well. Any other questions? How many necromancers do I have in this room? I don't think I have any in this room, do I? Okay. All good. Yeah, I don't think there are any necromancers in this room. Pretty much. you know, one. Who is that necromancer in the room? Okay, some Slim Shady, please stand up. Yeah, that's what they used to call me when I first got out of the army. It was terrible, or good. I don't know, because I had never heard the song until that. Well, yes. Okay, I'm a necromancer. You are right. I am a necromancer. That is absolutely true. It is my hobby. Yep, illusionist is good. Yep, mummies. It's a thing. I want my mummy. Yeah, Ondine and Echo. Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna have to look through right now. Off the top of my head, there's. I mean, necromancers are not a common breed, so Gypsy is a necromancer. Ah, that is true. Anu is a death knight, and now death knights are a combination between a paladin and a necromancer, so he qualifies. Not a pure necromancer, but he isn't a but necromancer. Yep, that's right. Eleonora. Salich, yes, although I haven't seen Salich in years, but she is a necromancer. No, he's a demon knight. It's not the same thing. Now, shaman, they're not necromancers, but they do deal with death magic after a fashion. Okay, they do deal with death magic after a fashion. But the death magic they deal with is speak with dead, There are some. Yes, and as Jill Core just said, there are there are necromantic spells and abilities that are um, not just necromancers can have, because necromancy is a school, is a field. Okay, that both priests and mages can have access to, and that includes clerics, shaman. Can't think of any druid spells off the top of my head of their necromancy, but there are a variety of spells that are necromancy spells that you don't have to be a necromancer to do it. I can't think of off the top of my head any necromancy spells that druids have, unless they happen to be anti druids, which exist too. You know, defilers and I think, yeah, blight druid is a yeah, yep. Defiler is the anti shaman. I believe that the anti druid is a it might be witherer. I'm gonna have to look, but that does sound right. Witherer. All classes that we have can have a reverse version. Okay? This is especially true with druids. So, yes, it is. Can people have it? Yeah. Will other druids hate you? Yeah. But it's there, you know? Because, okay. All right, that's a very good question. Generally speaking, we're talking about bringing people back to life. Most necromancers bring people back to life as the undead. Okay, they they are connected to the nether. Okay, they are they are connected to the nether, so they are even if it's not just animating, they are imbuing the individual with the nether and bringing them back to life as something other than what they were before. Whereas the cleric is resurrecting someone, a druid is reincarnating somebody. Okay? Does that answer that question? That is funny. You are right. A sheriff is an anti rogue. That would make Pelennor an anti rogue. And for those of you that are familiar with uh, halflings, the opposite of a rogue is a sheriff among halflings, and that's quite common in that situation. Yes, that's correct. An undead created by a necromancer is a construct. Whereas if a priest brings some, if a cleric brings somebody back to life, they are not a construct. They are who they were before. If a necromancer brings you back to life, even if you have your mind and your body, like my mummies, for example, even if you're an individual in every way, shape, and form, you're still a construct. Okay? So there's a huge difference. Does that make sense? That's right. A druid reincarnates. They don't resurrect. Well, our druids resurrect because, you know, that's why they have a resurrection in combat. But generally speaking, they reincarnate. A construct could be a minion, but that's not always the case. It depends on how much individually they have. So let's look at Metallici, for example. Metallici are constructs, okay? But those that break away from the group mind and become individuals, they're no longer minions. Okay? Minion, that's the word itself, means mindless drone. So that's not always the case with a construct, whether it be whether it be a mummy, a metallici, or a homunculus, you know. Anti-druids are still, the class is druid, okay? But they use all blight stuff. They use destruction, rot. They are um, instead of growing plants, they rot them. Things like that. Okay, they are a necessary part of the cycle of life, but they are in the opposite part. Okay, they Jalil Moonsnow. There is an extremely high level spell in the shadow magic. Uh, okay, someone's on voice. My deepest apologies if you could drop your voice because I can hear you typing and all that jazz. I apologize. Yes, Blight Druid is a dark druid. Okay, but what I was going to say about there is a way to be an illusion of oneself and be and survive, and that is through shadow magic. Yes, golems are also constructs. Okay, he got it. Golems are not always mindless, but some of them are. Okay, it depends. It does depend. Okay. Um, a lot of constructs, when you the lower level ones, they are they're minions. They're mindless. But let's say, for example, we're going to go all the way to the bottom of the totem pole in necromancy and say it's a skeleton. Skeletons are minions as they are. But if that skeleton sticks around for a while and is not killed and it continues forth, it can develop. It can develop, okay, and become a potential player character class or race in this case, and have a brain or at least a mind. It's probably never going to have a brain, unless you open up its skull and shove one in there. And I'm not sure that that would help. And if they met any zombies, the zombies would attack them because all they want to do is eat your brains. So I don't know. But anyway, um, yes, it is possible for a minion to become something other than a minion. Okay? Example, and that's one example just now I gave you. My mummies that I build, they're not minions. Okay? They're not minions. They have their own identities entirely. You know, they are undead. Okay? They are definitely undead, but they're not minions. Vampires. If a vampire bites another vampire, and most, generally speaking, when they first are bit, they become a minion. Okay, blood fiend. But over time, they develop themselves, and they have their own identities, and become their own selves. They're no longer minions. Does that all make sense? The same thing goes with golems, doll golems. A doll golem is uh, is a little doll that uh, a witch, or there are other types of wizards that can do them too. But for we're just gonna throw that one out there. A little doll that they build and runs around and does things for them. Okay. Well, in the beginning, they're minions, but if they keep them around, then they can develop personalities and their own identity. Yes, this month it was put out that the next battle was the 15th. I'm gonna go ahead and check with Argo on that. I won't be around on the 15th. Okay, I'm gonna be. I have all next week. I'm gone. Okay, so yes. Okay, yeah, 22nd. That makes more sense. I can be around then, but I won't be around for the 15th. Okay. Uh, somebody the orc here had a question. My screen is has a little weird thing in front of it. Okay. Yes, the row. Since Nif is here, that means row is being recorded. Nif records the rows. Any other questions on any of the things that we have discussed so far? Yes, the next battle is the 22nd. Okay, just to confirm with everyone and to pass on, the next battle is the 22nd. Okay. So, last round of questions. Last round of questions. Anyone else have anything that they want to know about? Okay, we'll have to get to that. Whoever's in charge of the calendar. Okay, there we go. And we'll get that squared away. Thank you, Jilla Roxley. Much appreciated. It will help. That will be helpful. And do remember that the next battle will be Fallen Star related. Okay. If you can think of your questions while I'm still here, that would be better. But I will still answer questions when I'm not here. Okay. But as you all know, um, questions that you pose to me when I'm not here go through somebody else. You know, you can get with any member of the conclave and say, "Hey, I had a question and I forgot to ask it or I couldn't remember it or whatever, whatever." Bring it to the conclave, and m- most of the archetypes have access to me. All of the conclave have access to me. Okay, so I will answer even if I'm not here. Uh, okay. Yes, they detect. Their vision detects life, and they do also can also see in the normal spectrum of light. And but their detect life vision makes it so that it doesn't matter if you're invisible, if you're made of water or fire. It doesn't matter. They can still see you. You can be invisibility has no effect whatsoever on their vision. Also, do remember detect magic does not detect a metallic eye. Okay? Detect magic does not detect a metallic eye. They basically have, well, sort of. They have they don't have infravision like an elf you know, but for lack of a better term, you can say they have infrared, but it goes beyond that because anything alive they can see. No, metallic air, it is very passive with them, and the reason it's easiest for us to think of that as not being passive as being an active ability is because we as humans do not have that. Okay, but technically, if altered forms of vision are passive, not not active. Okay, a the hearing of a metallic eye appears to be a standard hearing. It appears to be standard. But yes, different types of vision is passive. You do not have to switch to it unless it's a pair of glasses. Then you have to put them on. Orichalcum disrupts magic. Doesn't disrupt life detection. But it is an interesting theory. Yes, their vision is line of sight. Bendu Jalilmara, if you're in this room. There you are, yes. Mhm. Yes, elves, everyone. If your altered visions are passive, they're not active. Unless they're a pair of glasses, and then they're active. Okay? And yes, Julian, again, they are line of sight. As far as understanding about the passive vision, okay, dark elves live typically way, way, way down deep, right? And they run around every day, all the time, and they walk around being able to see everything just normal. They don't have to turn their eyes to change things. It's just normal. It's how they're built. They have ultra vision, dark vision, and they just whatever light form is available, that's how they see. They don't have to turn it on; it's just there. And elves, at night, they have infravision. Okay, during the day they have it too, um, but it doesn't do any good during the day. But at nighttime, it's a major benefit. But it doesn't mean they don't have it during the day. So if they're running around in the woods, then they can still see the rabbit that's running by in the infrared spectrum. Okay, it's always okay. Any other questions? Doom, 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 doom. Yes, that's probably a good idea. Okay, hey, all questions are welcome. Um, Concerning the Mage Mind Link versus the Blood Knight Mind Link, okay. Um, what is the question? It's pretty much the same thing, except that all Blood Knights are always linked. Mages, you have to cast the spell to be mind linked. Blood Knights are always linked. They actually have to turn it off. And if you turn it off, everybody knows. you know? So it's kind of like you everybody's got on a headset, okay? Everybody's on the headsets and they're all talking and Jack John and everything else. And say, "Hey, I'm going AFK for a second." Click, you know? That's the way my Blood Knight Mind Link works. A Mages, they have to cast it and it has to be on. Okay? All right. When the conclave clicks into the Blood Knight thing, they have to turn it on. Okay? Blood Knights are always on, so they're always and constantly this party line going on. They all got the headsets on. They're going, "Hey, how you doing, Jack? What are you doing? Hey, I think I'm gonna go over here. I gotta stop at the store. Cool with that, you know." As opposed to a mage, you have to actually call somebody up. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah, and it is possible to cross the streams if you wish. You know, if mage wants to uh to call the to call a blood knight, they can do that. That's all. That's all good. Mages can call non mages. Yes, but blood knights cannot call non blood knights. Okay, except conclave. They can call conclave. Yes, Joel Roxley. Your question. Why she's formulating that? Did that answer your question, Jaluk Starbinder? Oh yeah. If a mage calls a blood knight in with a mind link, blood knight, yeah, they can still hear it. You know, think about it. If you're on the phone, all right, you're sitting here talking to Billy Bob. Say, hey, what are you doing, man? Gee, hold on one second. I got another phone. I got another call on the line. Click over. Hey, long time no see. Yeah, of course, no problem. They can do that. Thank you. Yes, the conclave does not have to be dialed in. Um, they are going to get okay. You got a conclave member. All right, they're sitting there doing whatever they're doing. They're not on. They're not in BK Mind Link, but they get this red flash in their head. Beep 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 beep. Answer the phone, dude. Beep 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 beep. You know, so they don't have to be dialed in. They get an alert. You know, their phone rings and says, "Pick up, dude." No, it's only the one person. If a mage calls a BK, it's just a person to person call. They're not breaking into the link. All right. Okay, Jill Sharp Claws. I know I'm passing time anyway, but people, these are important questions. And so I'm good with it. That's right. Like the bat phone. That is exactly correct. That's what it is. That's right. When the phone rings, you pick it up or you don't. Um, Mage Link and Blood Knight Link, they don't have a range. Okay. The only the only significant difference there is that a Mage Link cannot hop planes. A Blood Knight Link can, does. Does that make sense? You do not have to be you do not have to be line of sight for Mage Link. Sending is typically line of sight, but even then it doesn't have to be, you know? But it can't cross but it's not it doesn't cross planes, just like telepathy or Mage Mind Link. Okay? It doesn't cross planes. It's typically used for for people that, within range, visual range, but it doesn't have to be. You know, conclave members can reach out. Yes, they can pick up the bat phone and dial into the Blood Night link. Yes. If you try to reach an illithid with Mind Link, chances are they're going to get a psychic backlash and burn your brain out. But hey, you know, is it possible? Yeah, but you might get your mind fried. But hey, no, Mage Mind Link is not 7 words like sending. You can have a conversation. Sending is 7 words. Mage's Mind Link is has a time frame. Okay. Like a Mage Mind Link, you you open a conversation and may last 10 minutes. Okay, that's a Mage Mind Link. Sending is anytime, anywhere, except cross planes for 7 words. Okay, it doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's just 7 word It's just 7 word communication. Mage Mind Link, you pick up the phone and call them. You got 10 minutes, all right, before your prepaid calling card runs out. That's how that is. Okay, does that make sense? Doom, 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 doom. Hey, experimentation. There have been a few people over the course of the world that says without experimentation there can be no progress. Hey, it might cost your brain, no, but I know Vivara and obviously Jalil uh, Coyote very well. That was to Jalil Mara, and I will be out of here and I'll be gone for a week or so. I apologize, um, but I'm more than willing to chat with you. That'd be great. but but once I roll out today, I'll be gone for a week or more. And you already know Jala Coyote is already rolled out. But I am going to do this right here so that we can make it easier. Uh, and my computer might crash on us, guys. Like I said, I'm just running on a one of my hard drives exploded. we go. Okay, if you were able to, okay, I don't know if anybody can. I'm black screened. Anybody hear me? Of course, I'm black screened, so I couldn't tell if you responded. Okay. All right, there we go. I think. If you had a potion of mind control resistance or some way to do, and you tried to contact an illithid, you might not be mind controlled. But then again, you directly connected to them, so it increases your chances of being mind controlled. But more than likely, what they would do is sonic blast. Sonic blast is an illithid ability that no one else has that basically melts your brain. Okay, I don't know if anybody can even hear me. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So you guys heard the sonic blast melts your brain thing, right? That is correct. Mind control resist potions only last 15 minutes. And the the apples only last 30. Okay? Okay. Wow. Okay, I'm losing SL here. I am totally black screened. So I think that the universe is forcing me to shut this down. Okay. So if you have any additional questions, do get with a conclave member, and I will answer them as soon as I'm able. Like I said, a lot of the archetypes have uh, can reach me too. So if you go to your archetype and they can't reach me, then they're they can reach a conclave member who can reach me, and that is correct. The mind control apples last from battle to battle. Okay, and that way you have to get more. Okay, so all right. Before my computer crashes on me, I'm going to go ahead and shut down. Bella Das for your attendance. Vendaus for now.